Hello everyone, my name is Edric Lin, and welcome to my e-portfolio for Master of Education Technology. When I started this program, I thought Master Education Technology was just another master teaching you about technology in the classroom. Yet as I delved deeper into the master degree, I realized that technology is much more than a tool. It represents a game changer. It represents something that's completely changing education as we know it. From previous, when we usually just use AV projector in the classroom, we can now use virtual reality or artificial reality in the classroom to bring the classroom into life. From paper reading to the digital online reading, students have changed, student attention span has changed. And what is the changes from writing in a paper to writing on a blog? All these things were aspects of learning that have gained throughout my education master education process. And I want to bring it to show my understanding to you. Initially, my purpose for this portfolio was to demonstrate my learning. Yet as I go deeper and deeper into portfolio, I realize that the portfolio itself is a learning process. When we put our knowledges into context of the entire journey, we realize that how does each of the puzzles fit together? For my metaphor, I decided to use the metaphor of university because it represents the most important time in my life, and probably does for many people. In university, you are no longer forced to learn in a classroom. When the teacher is pressed over your head, you have become your own responsibility. In university, you have a lot more lab experiences, and in university, the social dynamic and the social experience changes dramatically. And thus, my metaphor is about the university, but I have divided into three parts: the classroom experience, representing the theories, and the lab experience, representing application, and the social experience, representing collaboration and the support structure. My objective originally was to create something that leaves behind what I've done, similar to how many master's degree in the sciences ends up with a research paper. However, I decided to change my objective such that I want to create a portfolio that my student can possibly follow or imitate when they graduate from elementary school. Therefore, I've structured my writing to be a simple and without a lot of technical jargon. To summarize, my objective is first to create a website for future work references, to summarize and reflect on my learning experience from my entire master's degree, and to create a product that will serve as an elementary and graduation portfolio for my current workplace. I believe that the best way to teach somebody is to personally engage yourself with it first, and therefore I decided to take on this e-portfolio project in order to better learn how to create an e-portfolio. Now, as I was going to biography and then introduce a little about myself, as many may have already realized, I'm actually not from the education background initially. I graduated from UBC with a Bachelor of Science in Microbiology and Immunology and decided to make myself a scientist. However, due to fortunate circumstances, I became an English teacher in Taiwan. And I decided that Master Education Technology was something I needed to do because it combined my technical know-how of technology and my education current job. And I really enjoyed this program because it taught me a lot more about how to better use technology within my own classroom. As you see here, we created short videos of myself, and I also written down my journey, when I got the acceptance letter, I couldn't believe it because I was thinking to myself, who will want me as a student who has no teacher background? But I realized that sometimes, I bring a different set of understanding to the table because from my background, I'm more a rational and logical understanding from a science degree. What I bring to my job and to this master education program is that a firm understanding of research and how to rationalize, argue many arguments. And these has been great, served me well during my entire experience. Now, as we move on to the classroom experience, the classroom experience is mainly focused on the learning theories, constructivism, Piaget's and Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, cognitive dissonance, theory of knowledge, and all these aspects of learning that happen in the classroom. I want to put them in separate context because these represents a huge part of a university student's life. Since a university is by definition a higher learning institution, therefore this learning happens within the classroom. And within each of the classroom experience, starting from the scholar research of the 500, where we engaged with a lot of research paper reading, and we had to create our own research proposal, where my classmate and I created a proposal of trying to investigate screen time reading versus a lot of what is that change in student concentration time. And through this proposal, I realized the possibility of narrative research, where I previously did not enjoy having narrative research as it's not normally present in the science environment, but it was definitely learning a lot of new things. And next we go to the second, understand the technology behind it all. So now we understand the research, and now we need to understand technology behind all the research technologies. And as we go on to the third and last one, the construction of knowledge and constructivism, this became a huge focus for my understanding. As we reach into how do we know what we know? Because in science, we question our inherent assumptions and we try to prove it through our lab hypothesis. Therefore, even our knowledge in education should be questioned, and this is what this course has served. Within the lab experience, which focused mainly on the application process, we had understanding supporting technology, understanding how the text plays a role within the classroom, how it has changed. So first, we want to focus on what does the learning theory look like in the classroom? How does activity play in changing education? And what are some concerns for planning an e-learning institution? As we go on the very first class, I represent as the first physics lab where we learn by doing, we learn by acting, we learn by trying out different things. In this class, a lot of time was spent creating and understanding and imitating previously done lesson plan, and where the lesson plan critique becomes a major focus for the entire class, as well as a link to a learning neurology page where a couple of classmates had created a Weebly website focused on understanding the neurology and biology behind learning, which helps play into my forte. During the second one, where we learn about the lesson plan. After the lesson plan, we have to learn about lab planning. Just as in university, any pre-lab planning is important, planning for education technology is just as important. As we embark on the journey of understanding what role does each of the faculty, instructor, and student play in planning technology, and what are some important know-hows and checkpoints of technology implementation as we read about various strategic e-learning implementation plans around the world. And lastly, we arrive at the 540, understanding how text changes education. Undoubtedly one of the most important papers. I referred it to a chemistry lab because I realized it is a class that has a lot of step-by-step procedures. However, what's important about this lab is we all understand how paper change education. However, it is different when we totally put ourselves into a third-person perspective and truly engage in historical learning, such as shown in my video here regarding the change of paper and how it has shifted technology, just like how the printing press allowed the dissemination of knowledge to the common class. And lastly is the social club, representing the cumulative collaborative experience that I have gained in my entire master's journey, starting from the first class, where my couple of my friends and I and my peers created a proposal regarding a smart learning e-watch that could help monitor student health. While engaging in this process, as we each head out to do our own research, we realized the lack of student mental health assistant in university, where students are either too shameful to engage in meaningful dialogue or finding experts, or they simply do not know that they are under stress and need assistance. And thus, this is definitely one of the project highlights that could possibly be implemented by UBC in the future. I look forward to that. And lastly, the last course one of the first courses, also one of the last courses on this page, was the house party, which is the podcast page, where a lot of peers and I created podcasts talking about podcasts. And we had a lot of fun understanding why even with the rise of video, podcasts still exist. What niche does it play? Why is podcast so popular with certain populations? And as we engage in those things, we realize that there are more to learning than to understanding every technology. We need to understand the why behind the technology, such that if we do need to use it or replace it in the future, we do not replace the original purpose behind the technology. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a time enjoying the rest of this webpage. Thank you.